of all homeless veterans across the U.S. residing there. The West LA VA Hospital campus provides an enormous opportunity to provide shelter and support for those who have served our nation but face hard times by building a supportive community for veterans. Now, we have made great strides at the West LA VA campus to address veteran homelessness, but there is still so much more that needs to be done.
This all due to the bill's combined policies. The legislation would also help cut greenhouse gas emissions by 42%. That would close 2/3 of the remaining emissions gap between current policy and the U.S. 2030 climate goal, which is meant to avert impacts of climate change. The bill offers a 30% tax credit toward the cost of installing efficient exterior windows, skylights, and exterior doors. The proposed tax credit will be available to 2032. It applies during the year a project was installed. However, installations must meet certain efficiency criteria. Now, the legislation establishes 2 rebate programs. Each is a grant program that will be administered by state energy offices. States would have to apply for the grants, worth around $9 billion total, and financial benefits for consumers would vary by their income. One program is called the Homes Rebate Program. It would pay homeowners who make cuts in their home energy. Consumers may also be eligible for up to $14,000 via the High Energy, High Efficiency Electric Home Rebate Program, to the maximum by buying efficient electric appliances, up to $1,700 for a heat pump water heater, $8,000 for a heat pump space heating for cooling, and $840 for an electric stove or an electric heat pump clothes dryer. They can also get rebates on non-appliance upgrades, $4,000 for an electric load service center upgrade, and $1,600 for insulation, air sealing, and ventilation as well. As more people are having a hard time to make ends meet, Democrats, Republicans are stepping up to the plate, everybody. They proposed a brand new relief plan. It's going to allocate billions of dollars towards monthly payments. With each stimulus check, the IRS and the Department of Treasury became faster and more efficient at deploying the money. In the initial few weeks of the first stimulus check program, the IRS already deployed 90 million payments. When the third check was sent out, the IRS announced on March 17th it had already done out 90 million payments so far, including some initial checks that were sent to deceased Americans. Experts also say the money could have been much more targeted, as some well-to-do taxpayers who were unaffected financially by the crisis could also receive money. About 90% of taxpayers received money regardless of whether they were expecting and experiencing financial hardships. The third $1,400 checks phased out more quickly in an effort to limit how much people with higher incomes received. As the payments were deployed, there was a drop in the number of households actually spending them. While the checks were mostly devoted to household spending, the later checks were more typically used for saving or paying down debt, a trend seen across all income levels. But lawmakers have insisted that more relief checks should be sent out no matter what. And there is some good news for those of you that reside in the state of Colorado. Direct one-time refund checks worth $1,500 are being sent now. And according to the state's treasurer, Colorado's taxpayers can expect to receive their one-time refund payments before the end of August. Every Colorado resident who filed their taxes between June 30th is expected to receive a refund check of around $750. Rising inflation and fuel costs have resulted in more Americans finding themselves in need of help from their local food banks. Feeding South Dakota, the only statewide food bank that serves 900,000 people in the state, has seen an influx of working families facing food insecurity.
The armed forces. This is simply common sense. Last November, I visited the West LA VA campus with VA Secretary McDonough, Congresswoman Brownlee, Congresswoman Bass, and Congressman Liu, who is leading this amendment. And during that visit, we learned about how the VA campus was transitioning the care, treatment, and rehabilitative services, or CTRS, from using tents to small, innovative shelters. More than half one? Or too much?
I yield an additional 1 minute to the gentleman.
Okay. This provides a much more supportive living situation.
Enjoy the premium brands. Even they do not sell, buy luxury and big stuff. So I think the tendency has been staying around. And plus, we've been increasing the quality, and we put investment to the distilleries in Kentucky, as well as UK, that is, I think, appealing point for consumers. They got to know the improved quality. I think that's our strategy.
What about the supply chain? Has it improved?
Yes, we've been more or less increasing inventory quite earlier by catching the information that we would face challenges. And for soft drink segment, we still picking up our inventory level. So we took very early action to face up with the
So Social Security is now one of the programs that have helped shepherd the most vulnerable Americans through the crisis. And there are some huge changes that are coming this year. These changes will affect all seniors, Social Security, SSI, SSDI, or VA beneficiaries. Lawmakers in Congress are also thinking about passing a $200 monthly boost on top of COLA-adjusted Social Security benefits. Now, when prices started rising in 2021, the country was reminded once again of just how deeply tens of millions of people depended on the monthly benefits that Social Security provides. Joe Biden campaigned on changing Social Security to be fairer and more efficient for the millions of Americans. During his first few days in office, Biden promised to deal with Social Security as soon as possible. It's important to remember that millions of people count on Social Security benefits every month to provide that extra stimulus relief. But the bad news is the program's funds have been running low. The latest official estimate from the SSA shows that just 79% of promised benefits will be payable in 2035 due to depletion of its trust funds. The estimate does not factor in the effects of the crisis, which experts say could move that date up even sooner. Biden touted big changes for the program on the campaign trail. Under his plan that he proposed while campaigning for president, eligible workers would get a guaranteed minimum benefit equal to at least 125% of the federal poverty level. People who have received benefits for at least 20 years would get a 5% bump. Biden also proposed changing the measurement for annual COLA increases to the CPI for the elderly. To pay for those higher benefits, Biden would apply Social Security payroll taxes to those making $400,000 and up. In 2021, workers generally pay the 6.2% Social Security tax on up to $142,800 of wages. But the good news, everyone, is that 2022 is a new year, and many economists expect Social Security to be on top of the legislators' agenda this year. The crisis has created a so-called notch that would help reduce.
Specifically, this amendment will ensure that the West LA VA is able to collect the $25 million from the Los Angeles Purple Line Metro easement and put that money toward housing and supportive services for homeless veterans. Funds from easements and other use agreements at the West LA VA should be returned to the campus and used for those who served our country in